So, hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of my blog. And I'm Michaela, in case you have not seen the previous episodes, which is actually very likely. So, welcome to my blog. I would like to tell you a story of my first and last attempt at budgeting a cash only month. When I was working in Brno, in Czechia, I was just starting with the whole personal finance stuff. I was always very strict with my finances, but I was starting to watch YouTube videos on personal finance and reading articles on that. So I got into budgeting. And of course, the very first step to good budgeting is tracking your expenses. So for 2 months, I tracked my expenses very carefully. I wrote down the amount of everything I bought, whether it was lunch at work, groceries, sweets. I had a separate category for sweets and Pepsi because I am, or I identify as, Pepsi-holic. So, for 2 months, I tracked all of my expenses and I averaged out how much I needed per each category. Of course, I saw that I was spending quite some money on sweets and Pepsi, so I tried to tone that down. But altogether, I calculated how much I spent per month. And as a next step of advice to how to set up budget or how to make yourself budget well, there was the advice to, at the beginning of month, take out cash that you expect to spend that month and only pay with cash, because when you pay with cash, as in actual banknotes and coins, you understand, or you spend less simply because you see money as something real, something tangible, not just numbers on your bank account. And it becomes more difficult psychologically to spend. So I tried out this theory and I was actually very good. I stayed with my budget. I did not overspend on lunches at work. I didn't overspend on groceries. I actually saved some in my category for, for fun and sweets. But an emergency came up that month. So I had this terrible toothache and I am a bit afraid of dentists, I would say. So I really didn't want to go to dentist in Czechia. I had my own dentist back in Slovakia, in Košice. I wanted to go visit him. Even though I knew I would have to pay him because my health insurance was at the time paid in Czechia, not in Slovakia. So I really tried not to go to the dentist in Czechia, but eventually I had to because the ache was really terrible. And it's no wonder because my root canal was actually inflamed, so I had to go to the doctor. They fixed it, or at least fixed part of it. Of course, with inflamed root canal, you have several procedures or spaced out to take care of that. So I again paid in cash because I did have a reserve in my budgeting for emergency or basically unexpected stuff. And it wasn't that much. It was, I paid at the dentist maybe 20 euros, like 2 euros for pain meds after. So it was really not that terrible financially. However, every month, at least once, I traveled from Brno to Košice and back again. And in this particular month, I did it at the beginning of the month and the second time at the end of the month. What I found out the day before I went home or went to my parents in Košice, well, I found out that my previous trip there, I left all of my bank cards. And I mean all of my bank cards in my bedroom at my parents. So I had check debit card and credit card in Košice. And I had my Slovak debit card also in Košice. So there was no way for me to take out cash, basically. And I was to travel back to my parents the next day. And one thing I did not account for in my budget, or rather when I was taking out money, the cash from ATM at the beginning of month, was the gas money, because I expected to pay for gas at the end of the month, just before I travel to Košice, those 600 kilometers or so. I expected to pay that by card, but suddenly I didn't have a card. So what I did, I basically had to borrow like 10 bucks, 10 euros roughly, because it was like, I don't know, I think it was 200 crowns, Czech crowns, I borrowed from a colleague. So I could get enough gas in my car to get over the border to Slovakia. Because while I didn't have any cards, I did have a gas card with points that were like worth 50 euros of gas. So as long as I got over the border to Slovakia and reached that particular chain of gas stations, I could tank a full gas. And I also had like 20 euros in cash as well. So again, Czechia is not really a Eurozone country, so that wasn't very helpful to me in Czechia, but would be helpful in Slovakia. So on Friday afternoon, or shortly after noon actually, because Friday afternoons are killer in traffic in Brno. So I tried to get out as soon as I could. I tried to get out around lunch. However, there was already a traffic jam at the exit out of Brno. So I prepared a visual help. I hope it will be visible. So basically, this is, oh come on, don't do this. Why are you gone? Oh, never mind. I'll find you. Oh, great. I'm in Ukraine somewhere. No, that's Poland. Okay. So, what I wanted to do was leave from Brno. And okay, not very visible. So I wanted to leave from Brno and travel to Trenčín, and then through the north of Slovakia all the way to Košice. That would take me roughly 5 hours and some minutes. However, already leaving Brno, I was stuck in traffic for an hour. That exit out of the city was simply blocked and the lane was not moving at all. So I decided on an alternative. And that was that I would travel from Brno down south to Bratislava, and from Bratislava I would travel east along the south of Slovakia all the way to Košice. However, what happened when I actually changed lanes from Brno to Bratislava? I got onto that highway without any issues. However, like I mentioned, I had gas card that would work only in one particular chain of gas stations, and along this line there was not a single gas station where I could stop and tank. Which would not be that much of a problem, I suppose, if I did not take a wrong turn in Bratislava and found myself... Okay, so here's Bratislava, and I found myself on a highway to Vienna. So from Czechia, I traveled south to Bratislava, and suddenly I was in Austria, on a highway in Austria, but I realized that quickly enough, thank God. And while I couldn't turn back, 100, I couldn't do 180 and return to Bratislava, what I could do was follow the directions to Budapest, so the capital of Hungary, and use the highway system here to get to Košice. So, unfortunately, Hungary is also not a member of Eurozone. And in Hungary, you use Hungarian forints to pay, which I had absolutely none of. And also the highways, of course, are paid. And while I did have a highway pass for Czechia, I did have highway pass for Slovakia, I most certainly did not have a highway pass for Hungary, since I was definitely not supposed to be there. I also didn't have navigation for Hungary, so that was a bit of a trouble. But I knew I needed to pass Budapest to get to Košice. The trouble was that shortly after I passed into Hungary, well, for one, it started to rain cats and dogs, so it was a really downpour and it got dark, very, very dark, so you could barely see on the highway, and cars were moving fast despite the rain. And there are these places off Hungarian highway where you can buy highway pass for a couple days, a month, a year, or whatever. But I couldn't see those exits because it was raining so much. It was so dark, and the speed was so high that I could never take the turn at the right time. So I was already wondering, like, I hope I'm not going to get a ticket for this, because I really wanted to buy the highway pass. I just couldn't get to the exit. So finally, I managed to reach the exit to buy the ticket pass, the highway pass, and I arrived there and I pulled down my window and they asked me what kind of ticket I want. And my first question is, do you take euros? And he's like, yeah, well, they do. So I buy the cheapest and he returns me money in forints and in euros. So yeah, because I paid with my 20 and okay, I honestly have no idea whether he gave me the correct amount of money or not. I really hope he did. But I honestly didn't care. I was just so happy I got to buy the ticket, the pass, I mean. So I continue on, and the gas is, of course, getting lower and lower, and I'm just watching worriedly the ticker, and I'm looking like I'm definitely not getting to Košice on this amount of gas. So when I'm near Budapest, somewhere just in front of Budapest, I get off the highway, and yeah, I can't delay tanking anymore. So I take an exit, go to a gas pump, a gas station, and there's an employee at the gas station, and he's coming toward me and he's asking, how much do you want to pump? And I'm like, do you take euros? And he's, yeah, we do. So I tell him 1 moment. So I go inside and I show them how much money I have in euros and in forints, and I'm telling the guy at the cashier, I want this much gas. Can you get me this much gas? And he's like, sure. And I was so very happy that he took both cash, and they just tanked as much as it would go for, without asking any more questions. And I was thinking, I have no idea how much gas that is, right? What if it's not really enough to get me to Košice? So I was already making plans in my head, like, yeah, okay, if anything happens, if it's not enough to get me past Budapest, I'm just going to find a hotel in Budapest, get a room, and admit my defeat as an independent woman, and call my father and ask him to come get me and pay for the hotel room and pay for gas so I can get to my parents for the weekend. So luckily enough, I had enough gas to get to Košice. I could go like 50 kilometers further than Košice, but that would be it. I would be done for. And I was really stressed out because, like I said before, I had no navigation, no map, and throughout the way, as I go towards Budapest, there's direction to cities I know are deep in the south of Hungary. There's even directions for Romanian cities I knew where they were because they were even further south. I visited them before, and I was like, this can't be right. Like, I need to go to east and north, so northeast, not south. How come all these cities are showing me south? But then there was directions for Budapest, and I knew I had to pass Budapest. And finally, once I passed Budapest, there was the very first sign for Košice. I was so very happy to see it. I don't think I was ever happier to see anything than that single sign that said not even Košice, it said Kaša. So it was Košice in Hungarian is Kaša. So yeah, I got to my parents like much later than I was supposed to. Like I arrived maybe 2 hours later than I should have. And I was very happy it was just those 2 hours later, because I actually was supposed to have on-call duty that day. After 5, I think it began. But my colleague agreed to take over for a couple of hours, but he was expecting me to actually take over at 6, and I was calling him several hours later that, hi, I'm back. I'm taking over. And he's like, oh, thank you. I was wondering what happened to you. And I was, again, very, very grateful to him that he was so patient, because he was actually usually pretty active on Friday evenings. Who isn't, right? Well, I am not. Okay, so I get to my work computer, I check emails, I check systems that nothing's down, that I actually can just chill in the on-call duty, at least so far. And I open a news website, and I'm reading there that there was some sort of traffic jam in Bratislava, or just beyond Bratislava, so eastbound from Bratislava, that was causing 10-hour-long traffic jams. And I'm like, okay, I managed to miss that by my own mistake. So I came home just 2 hours later instead of like 10 hours later. That's a win, right? Yeah, but never again I tried cash only budget, because yeah, if I didn't have that money out in the beginning of the month, I would have noticed that I left those cards back at my parents' a lot sooner. I would have noticed that, and I would still have time, would still have the funds, would still have the gas to get home, to get those cards, or even for my parents to mail them or something, or they could visit me and bring them to me. I don't think they would say no. But because I was so reliant on cash for the full month, I never even looked for those cards. I was just so used to cash. I was very self-disciplined. I never tried to spend more than that. And yeah, in this case, it wasn't the best idea, maybe. So, hopefully you enjoyed my story time. Hopefully I will see you again later in next video. Bye!